Here, while I'm out in the dark, let me check in with the Royal Experiment, the private life of King George III, or the Strangest Family, which is these poor bastards, tracing King George III of Britain, starting off with his grandfather, George the I, and then George the II, his father. It's his great grandfather, whatever it is. They embark on a thing of basically wanting to have the model royal family as a kind of a moral example to their people. And oh my god, I think I find this book, in the end, I find it like a nightmare scenario for my own family if my father had lived a long life and basically and basically no no and the children were forced to revolve around their parents until they dropped dead, doing everything that would please them, putting their entire lives on hold to be the good family, which of course makes them into the sons into horrible, debauched, drinking, mistress taking, just pukes, and the daughters who have to are cloistered in strict confinement with their parents, never marrying, turning them into frustrated, bitter, middle-aged and older women, just eating each other alive, hating their parents. With George III, on top of this, having serious mental problems where he goes mad for a while, comes out of it for about a decade, and then goes back in and is just insane until he dies. There's the structural thing of the Prince of Wales, the successor to the king, seemingly a structural role that forces the son into the arms of the opposition parties to the king. That this seems to replicate in each generation, and each generation they just fall into it. They can't seem to escape it, and it happens in this one. And George III and his wife Charlotte having super high expectations for their children, and always quick to disapprove and never giving praise. You can see why the sons turned so rotten, and the daughters became so, just thwarted and miserable. I think of the ones that I feel the most sorry for in this thing are the daughters. And Theo, come here. Theo, hey, Theo. Sorry, I have to have a dog interruption, a Theo interruption in every video, seems, when I'm out here. Theo hears anything going and he just starts barking away. But Janice Hadlow does a really good job of doing this drive, though I'm in the last chapter now, and I sort of just want all these people to go away. It's a mark of her talent that she's taken me through all these people's lives, and it's a slow motion car wreck that I've been fascinated with. But I really am in the last 100 pages of it, and I just want it to end. I feel like I'm trapped with these people. I feel too many kinships with my own family, which, thankfully I hit adulthood, and like one of King George's sons, I just took off. Well, of course, George sent all of his sons packing. He didn't let them stay, except for the Prince of Wales, who couldn't do anything, just was stewing in his own juices and became debauched and just horrible. Of course, my father, another George, died from from kind of the side effects from his alcoholism, and I took off on my own. So I think and my family being British and Scottish, there's just some weird kind of replication of family dynamics that I feel out of this story, which maybe isn't that comfortable for me as I'm in it, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I need to get out of here. So I'm gonna finish this up in the next day or two. Yeah, because wow, it's terrible, terrible, terrible. I do not envy these people in the slightest their wealth, because wow, just awful, awful lives. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.